Thank you, Unity. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Just to give you some context as we get things started, millions of Americans struggle with chronic disease. The CDC estimates that 6 out of 10 adults are currently managing a chronic condition. Nutrition plays quite a crucial role in managing chronic disease. Today, we're in conversation with 4 entrepreneurs who are employing food as medicine to be a weapon against disease, and as a result, they're empowering patients and impacting outcomes. So let's kick things off with a few introductions. So if each of you can briefly introduce yourself and the moonshot that you're looking to achieve. We'll start with you, Mark.
Hi, thank you. Hi, everyone. Mark Claremont, CEO for Cecilia Health. We are a virtual specialty clinic working at the intersection of pharma and traditional healthcare, health plans, and primary care. Clinical network working across all 50 states, and the purpose here mainly focused on chronic conditions. And our clinicians are at the front line of working with patients, with helping them not only with their goals to hit behavioral change, but certainly nutritional change and nutritional objectives. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Shireen?
Thank you, Padma. So my name is Shireen Abdullah. I'm the founder of Yumlish. Yumlish is a nutrition content platform built to raise nutrition literacy in low-income and underserved communities. We do that through nutrition content platform, and you can find more information on our website.
Maury. Thank you, Shireen. Maury?
Thank you, Shireen. Maury Bahar, Personal Remedies. We offer a fully automated and personalized dietary guidance that takes into account an individual's multiple illnesses, allergies, health risks, dietary preferences, and medications.
Thank you, Maury. Victor?
I'm Victor Panev, founder of Edamam. We are a nutrition data company. We organize and structure food and nutrition data. We say we organize the world's food knowledge. Our firm belief is that people can live up to 120 without chronic conditions or mental illness if they eat right. So that's what we're trying to do, support every business in the health, wellness, and food industry to achieve that goal. And I believe that every chronic condition can be reversed with food.
Thanks, Victor. We're hearing quite a bit of buzz around personalized nutrition. How does that play a role in your strategy? And with so many players in the space, what makes your product unique? We'll start with you, Shireen.
Great. So when we talk about personalized nutrition, actually I'm going to take a step back and talk about the communities that we work with today. The communities that we serve today, largely underserved, they're not looking for as much personalized nutrition, but they're looking to build and understand what nutrition even is. Imagine having to go to the doctor's office. Imagine having diabetes, your doctor telling you you have diabetes, and you have to keep coming back for blood work. You keep going back for blood work, you have no idea why, and the doctor keeps telling you, numbers are not looking great, we got to test you again in 3 months. What do you do with that piece of information? And the doctor says, oh, and by the way, to do this, just make sure you eat healthy. Your numbers will be under control. Great. What do I do with that piece of information? It is incredibly, incredibly hard to not know what to do about your disease state or what your disease state even is to begin with. And that's the gap that we close, is to say, let's inform the person about their disease. Let's help them understand how carbs are impacting that disease state. What does A1C mean, and how, again, it's related to the foods that they're eating. So when we're thinking about personalized nutrition, we're thinking about nutrition literacy in particular. The personalized comes much later, but first you even have to understand, what is that relationship with food that I have to create? What does it look like within the context of the foods that I eat and consume on a daily basis?
Thank you, Shireen. Victor?
We do support personalization. We have a database of 5 million recipes, a million foods. We've analyzed them and tagged them for every nutrient, allergen, lifestyle, diet, chronic condition with the help of Maury, meal type, dish type, cuisine, CO2 impact. They're searchable. So we can, in real time, personalize a meal that somebody needs to eat based on their dietary restrictions, preferences, what they want to eat, and so on and so forth. We are still way away from true precision medicine when we have real-time feedback from blood chemistry, microbiome, environment, what's around you at what price and whatnot. But that's a goal. We're going to get there eventually.
Looking forward to when we get there. Thank you, Victor. Mark?
Yeah, I'll play off of Shireen's story here. So, the newly diagnosed patient with diabetes has a lot to learn, regardless of the age that they learn this at. In fact, the founder of Cecilia Health had a diagnosis of type 1 diabetes at age 36. The feedback and help that he received from his diabetes management educator, very informed CDCES. Her name was Cecilia. That was actually the founding purpose of the company. Carry that forward to personalization. What does that mean? Well, everybody's journey is different, and our job as clinicians is to understand where someone is. So not only helping them understand their diagnosis, understanding their disease, but then what do you do about that? And nutrition plays such a critical role in that. We think of personalized not just in personalizing nutrition access, whether you're, regardless of where someone is in their socioeconomic perspective, but there's also personalized healthcare in general. And so that can also mean how well informed am I, what access do I have to the different nature or different elements of do I have access to a lab, do I have access to a radiological exam, do I have access to specifically around diabetes, do I have the access to the tools like CGM, pump, devices, the test strips, all that kind of thing. So we're taking a larger macro view and then leveraging players like Yumlish and my colleagues here to help us personalize the nutritional specific aspect of their journey.
Thank you, Mark. Maury?
To offer personalized dietary guidance to me, you have to know all about me. You have to take into account all my health issues, allergies, fears, areas that I want to maintain good health, and so on. So to truly provide personalized dietary guidance, we have to have the capability to capture the full profile of that individual. It's not sufficient to give me the same dietary guidance that you give everybody else for diabetes type 2, which is unfortunately many organizations do. Some suffer from depression. Some suffer from high triglycerides. Some have heart disease. So unless you're willing to capture all of those other conditions and health concerns and health risks, you can't truly deliver on that. That's why we invested a lot of time and effort in capturing data and science related to about 300 different chronic conditions and health issues, just so that we can in fact deliver on that promise of personalized dietary guidance. Now, you also asked what makes us different. Did you want us to talk about that?
Yes.
I don't want to take all the time. I mean, normally
you
it takes
can
me
share.
45
That's
minutes
what we're
just to
here for.
introduce myself,
No, go ahead.
Okay. What makes us different are three things. One, we don't just focus on a handful of chronic illnesses and the most popular ones. We have several hundred different conditions in our knowledge base. Two, we have the ability to offer support for those who suffer from multiple chronic conditions. According to CDC, there is a void of information for people who suffer from multiple chronic conditions. And the bad news is, when you get as old as Victor, you have more than 2 or 3 conditions that you have to worry about, not just one. And then finally, all our capabilities are fully automated. So we can provide that guidance in a fully automated fashion, which means scalable, which means we can reach the masses. We can reach somebody in southern tip of South Africa or South America.
Thank you, Maury. And you bring me to my next question. We're talking about, comorbidities, and these especially impact, communities that are underserved. From a social determinant standpoint of health, many areas in this country are food deserts where people don't have access to healthy food or organic produce. How are you addressing that gap? Shireen?
Yeah, so I'm going to take a different view on this for a second. Food deserts exist, no doubt at all. I get that. Where I think the conversation falls short today is that we lead with food deserts. We lead with saying this person doesn't have access to food, which is why they're making poor food choices, which is why their diabetes is getting worse. There is a significant amount of food accessibility, but there isn't any understanding or education around what that food looks like on the dinner table when you cook it for your family. That's the gap, in my opinion, that truly needs to be filled. Again, food deserts are there, not denying that at all, but there is also some work to be done when it comes to nutrition literacy in particular. We spoke to, I'll just give a quick example, we spoke to a food bank of sorts in our area. We're in Texas, by the way. And we spoke to them, and they told us about how they were delivering groceries to individuals who did not have access to foods, right? And they said, we delivered this, we put a survey out. Turns out the squash we were putting in the bags were ending up in the trash can. If you put squash in front of someone who hasn't eaten squash, who's not used to eating it, who hasn't grown up eating it, of course it's going to end up in the trash can. The content that we're building is around, let's get your five senses in tune with squash. What does it feel like? What does it taste like? How do you prepare it? What does it look like? What does it smell like? And when you lead with that, then you can make the food to say, okay, I understand this food. I understand what it tastes like. It tastes like this X food that is not healthy for me. This is a good substitute. I can now use it in my cooking. It is, like I said, so it's the last mile that we're focused on. That last 6 feet is much needed.
Thank you, Shireen, for that perspective. Victor?
So that was a perfect setup from Shireen. I 100% agree with her. We can't, as a company, we can't solve the delivery of food. You know, we can't build a Walmart where the nearest grocery store is a 7-Eleven or a gas station 5 miles away. But what we can do is help people understand how they can eat better. We work with food banks in New York around Bronx communities, and you know, you come back home, you're tired, you have $4 to feed your family. The easiest thing is buy 4 Big Macs. So how do you educate a person that is ethnically from a community that rice and beans is maybe something that they've cooked and probably costs under $4, but actually to educate them, okay, you can buy rice for the week, you can have beans, and you can cook it very quickly and still get a meal that is much healthier than buying 4 Big Macs. That's education. That is, bringing back knowledge about how to cook, educating people how to cook, and providing them the recipes of how to cook. That's how we support people. We've talked also to other nonprofits in Chicago, for example, that deliver food boxes from farmers markets and whatnot. The idea being put recipes in and give them some content and education of what to do with those fruits and vegetables, much like what Shireen described. So I think that's the way we can support it as a company.
Thank you, Victor. Love the reinforcement of education around food concept. I think that's super important in our country. Mark, it looks like you want to jump in here with something.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I'll just carry forward the story because, our clinicians are right at the front end. We're in that moment of change, that moment of need when we're talking with patients. And they are looking for answers. They're open to answers. What's important for our clinicians is to know how can we help them solve for these access problems. The types of patients we work with, we're agnostic to insurance types, and many of our patients are Medicare and Medicaid, and so many are in these areas of food deserts, and so access to resources. They may not even know these resources. In fact, oftentimes don't know these resources are available. So how can we make sure that our virtual telehealth clinicians are informed as quickly as possible about the amazing things that my colleagues' capabilities are doing. And Maury's company is transforming that in such a culturally sensitive way, in a way that then can electronically present that to us such that we can then turn that over to Victor and Shireen's company so they can take that last mile piece. And so it's a phenomenal thing that we've invested in that technology that they expose to us that enables that kind of access to then flow through from an operational standpoint. So it's something that I certainly appreciate, our clinicians absolutely appreciate our ability to personalize based off of what these folks are generating for us.
Thank you, Mark. As we wrap things up, I want to end on a question looking into the future. 15 to 20 years from now, how is the world different because of you and the solution you've built? And we'll start with you, Maury.
I learned a long time ago that when you're talking about near-term predictions, it's more important to be accurate than entertaining. But when you're talking about long-term predictions, it's more important to be entertaining than accurate. With that in mind, if we fast forward 15 years from now, I can envision the following scenario. You fly into Vegas from your hometown in Boston, let's say, and our application already knows about all your health issues and concerns and allergies and preferences. Then you either use our app to identify what is the best restaurant that you can go to that serves meals that are most healthy and most helpful to your conditions, or you go to a given restaurant and that restaurant has already fed their recipes to Victor, and Victor has already used our data on ingredients to rank all of these recipes based on helpfulness and healthfulness to that individual. And therefore, you walk into that restaurant and you consult that app to identify what is the most healthy, most appropriate dish for your condition.
Thank you, Maury. Shireen?
For me, the way I view the success from our business is to gauge it from multi-generational impact. If we're able to build that nutrition literacy in such a way to where moms are cooking better for their families, to where kids are not, so that obesity levels, especially within the pediatric group, isn't increasing at the rate that it is today, that is our success. If we're able to drive to the point to where we've got this nutrition content that is serving this mother to cook healthier meals on the table, that is helping her even tie it to a grocery experience to say, it's 4 o'clock, I need to put dinner on the table. Yumlish's dietitian knows exactly what I want. I'm going to send 2 text messages. The groceries are going to show up at my door, and I know exactly what to put on the table that night. Because of that, and you repeat that over a period of time, over this 15-year period, you have now made the impact in that child's life. So that's where
That's amazing. Thank you, Shireen. Mark?
Yeah, I think, because we work across, again, across the spectrum of pharma, health plans, and traditional healthcare, primary care. For us, the more we can enable that level of access and acuity that my colleagues here are talking about, to me, that's success. The fact that we can then help them, our patients, get to a point of self-management, self-awareness, their caregivers, identify their care blockers, which is something that we're uniquely focused on right now, is identifying care blockers in the home. If we can successfully do that and help them achieve some of these amazing 15-year projections from Maury, which actually I don't find entertaining, I find actually I hope we can pull this kind of thing off, then we've absolutely identified success for the company and hit our moonshot.
Amazing. Thank you. Victor?
I get the last word. So if I have my way, and it's not 15 years, maybe it's 50, first of all, everybody is going to have only one chronic condition, and that's infectious vitality. And this conference is not going to exist as it is right now. It will be a conference only for acute pain management. That's it. So that's the goal. And we are all going to come to Vegas and actually have dinner together and laugh about our success.
Thank you, Victor. Thank you all so much for your time, for sharing your stories and the impactful missions that you're working towards. Let's all give our amazing panelists a round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You can check out their company booths at the Startup Health Pavilion. And up next, we have Meet the Doctorpreneurs, moderated by Jamie Edwards, Chief Platform Officer at Startup Health.